I slammed the office door behind me, only to freeze completely. Maya was standing right there, pointing at my laptop while our boss, Mr. Henderson, leaned in beside her, nodding. My campaign proposal was on the screen. Weeks of research, hours of late-night brainstorming. My entire pitch. It was hers now. You came up with this? Mr. Henderson was asking Maya, his voice full of admiration. She smirked. That smirk was the worst part. She looked so pleased with herself, so confident that she'd gotten away with it. Rage twisted in my chest like a physical thing. My name is Logan Parker, and I just discovered that my best friend had stolen everything I worked for. My pulse hammered in my ears so hard I thought my head might explode. I trusted her. I really did. We've been friends since college. I defended her at work when people criticized her. I'd invited her to family dinners. I told her things I'd never told anyone else. And she'd repaid that trust by stabbing me in the back in the most public way possible. Mr. Henderson finally noticed me standing there. His expression changed slightly. He looked uncomfortable. He probably already knew the truth. I couldn't breathe. My colleagues whispered when they thought I wasn't listening, glancing at me as if I were the crazy one, as if I was making something out of nothing. Maya's eyes sparkled with victory while I felt invisible, completely invisible. The campaign that I'd spent weeks developing, the one that kept me awake at night because I believe in it so much, now had Maya's name on it. Everything I had built professionally, and our friendship collapsed in seconds. It was like watching a building burn down and realizing you'd helped pour the gasoline yourself. I left the office that day in a complete daze, walking through the streets without really seeing where I was going. I kept trying to process how someone so close to me could betray me so publicly, how she could sit across from me at lunch and smile while planning to steal my work, how she could pretend to be my friend while planning my professional destruction. The betrayal was suffocating. It made it hard to think. It made it hard to breathe. Everything felt wrong. I sat at home that night, and memories flooded back. Weeks earlier, Maya and I had spent countless late nights in the office, brainstorming this campaign together. We'd ordered pizza at midnight and laughed until we couldn't breathe. She confided in me about her insecurities, telling me she didn't think she was smart enough for her job, that she felt like a fraud. I defended her, told her she was brilliant, told her she deserved to be there. I'd listened to her cry about her difficult family relationships. I'd invited her to come stay at my place when her apartment flooded. I'd treated her like a sister. And the whole time, she was smiling at my jokes while sharpening her knife. She was playing the role of best friend while planning to take everything from me. The worst part was that I had no idea when the deception started. Was it from the beginning? Did she ever actually care about me? Or was I just a stepping stone she'd planned to use all along? The betrayal wasn't just about the campaign. It was about discovering that everything between us had been a lie. I tried to keep my composure at work, but it was nearly impossible. I stayed late at the office, rewriting parts of the campaign to try to reclaim credit subtly. But every email I sent, every update I made, felt like a gamble. I was terrified that Maya would catch me and accuse me of trying to sabotage her work, that I'd somehow end up looking like the bad guy. Maya's small, knowing glances were constant reminders that she was watching me. She knew what I was trying to do, and she was one step ahead every single time. I'd make a small change, and she'd immediately reverse it or claim it was her idea originally. The power had shifted completely. She controlled the narrative now, and I had no idea how to fight back. I felt like I was drowning and nobody could see it. Everyone else just saw me as the guy who'd missed his shot with the campaign. Nobody saw the theft. Nobody saw the betrayal. Rumors spread through the office like wildfire, and I could trace them all back to Maya. Did Logan really come up with that idea? My coworkers would whisper when they thought I couldn't hear. Or did he just help? Some people started questioning whether I'd actually contributed to the campaign at all, or if I'd just been along for the ride. Maya smiled sweetly whenever I walked by, her expression full of fake concern. "Are you okay?" she'd ask. "You look stressed." And everyone would see her pretend caring, and they'd think I was the problem. I was the one overreacting. I was the one who couldn't handle not getting credit. The office felt smaller and colder every single day. Trust was gone. Not just in Maya, but in everyone around me. I started wondering who else might betray me. Who else was just waiting for an opportunity to take something from me. The paranoia was suffocating. Then something unexpected happened. Tara, a quiet analyst who sat 2 desks over from me, pulled me aside one afternoon. She was nervous, glancing around to make sure nobody was watching. She handed me a folder without saying anything. Inside were printouts of various documents, emails with timestamps, notes from meetings with dates written on them, data showing inconsistencies in the presentation timeline, proof that I'd been the one developing the campaign while Maya had been the one watching and waiting for the right moment to claim it. Tara had been paying attention. She'd seen what happened, and she'd documented it. I had proof that Maya stole my work. But revealing it meant risking looking petty or desperate. It meant starting a war that could destroy me professionally if I wasn't careful. I thanked Tara quietly, and she nodded, understanding the weight of what she'd just given me. I realized that simple retaliation wouldn't work. Revenge wouldn't be instant or dramatic. It would have to be slow and meticulous. I started watching Maya more carefully, paying attention to every move she made, every word she said. She subtly undermined me in meetings, correcting minor mistakes I made in front of clients. When I suggested ideas, she'd explain why they wouldn't work. When I accomplished something, she'd mention how she'd helped guide that work. Every triumph I managed to build began to unravel under her subtle undermining. She was good at it too. She never said anything outright mean or obviously false. She just twisted the truth enough to make me look incompetent. I realized that if I was going to win this, I needed a plan, and I needed to be patient. I began documenting everything. Every email, every note from meetings, every timestamp, witness statements from people like Tara. I created a hidden folder on my personal laptop and filled it with evidence. I screenshot conversations. I wrote down everything I remembered about developing the campaign. I created a timeline showing exactly when I developed each element and when Maya had appeared in the work. I gathered data showing who had contributed what. It was meticulous and exhausting work, but it was necessary. I wasn't going to make accusations without evidence. I wasn't going to look like the desperate guy trying to take down his competitor. I was going to build an airtight case. Tara became my unexpected confidant. She warned me that Maya had manipulated others to distrust me at every turn. She'd been telling people that I was difficult to work with. She'd been suggesting that I didn't actually understand the campaign as well as she did. She'd been spreading rumors about my competence and my character. Tara said that people had come to her asking if I was really as incompetent as Maya suggested. Tara had defended me, but she was just one person. Maya had spent weeks poisoning people's minds against me. But Tara's warning also gave me hope. If I could navigate this carefully, if I could present my evidence strategically, I might be able to turn the office against Maya. I could regain my credibility. I could show people who I really was. During a client presentation about 3 weeks into this nightmare, I saw my opportunity. Mr. Henderson was walking through the campaign details, with Maya standing beside him looking confident. But when a client asked a specific question about the early conceptual development, something I knew Maya had never been involved with, I raised my hand. I actually developed that part initially, I said calmly. The concept was inspired by some market research I conducted. I explained the specific data I'd used and the reasoning behind my original idea. The client's eyes widened. They recognized the depth of the work. They understood that this idea had come from genuine research, not just casual brainstorming. Maya tried to redirect the conversation, but her nervousness betrayed her. Her voice became higher. She started talking too fast. She tried to claim she'd guided the research, but her explanation didn't match what I'd said. For the first time, I felt a flicker of control. The client was starting to wonder which version of events was true. I went home that night, exhausted beyond measure. My mind raced with possibilities and fears. Betrayal wasn't just professional. It cut into my soul at a deeper level. I questioned every friendship I had. I questioned my own judgment in people. How could I have been so blind? How could I have trusted someone so completely when they were clearly willing to destroy me? I'd given too much trust too freely, and now I was paying the price. I started to understand that some people don't deserve loyalty. Some people only see kindness as weakness. The heartbreak of losing a friend to betrayal was almost worse than the professional damage. I discovered that Maya had also misled other coworkers, twisting small truths into half-lies to elevate herself professionally. She'd taken credit for work that belonged to other people. She'd suggested that colleagues were unreliable in private conversations, then acted supportive in public. She wasn't just stealing my credit. She was building an entire fortress of deception, and multiple people were inside that fortress without knowing it. She was a master manipulator. She'd probably been doing this her entire career. I wasn't special. I was just the current victim. Understanding that somehow made me angrier. I wasn't going to be the last person she destroyed. I arranged a subtle intervention that felt like the first real step toward justice. I requested a meeting with higher management, specifically with the VP of our department. I presented evidence of my contributions to the campaign without directly naming Maya. I showed the timeline. I showed the emails. I showed the research documentation. My hand was shaking as I walked into that office, but my voice stayed calm. This was the first tangible step. This was me starting to fight back directly. Mr. Henderson listened carefully, and I could see recognition dawning on his face. He'd probably suspected something was wrong. Now I was giving him proof. But Maya acted shocked and hurt when Mr. Henderson asked her about the discrepancies in the timeline. She played the victim perfectly. She acted like I was being petty and trying to take credit for teamwork. She smiled sadly and said that sometimes colleagues got insecure and tried to diminish others' contributions. But then, in the middle of her performance, she made a single mistake. She referenced a specific client conversation as if she'd been there, but that meeting had happened before she'd even joined the project. An email slip-up revealed her manipulation. My heart jumped. She was vulnerable, but I knew this was far from over. She was too clever. She would learn from this mistake and adjust her strategy. I needed to stay 2 steps ahead. I learned that Maya had also spread rumors about my personal life to damage my reputation further. She'd told people that I'd been unprofessional with a colleague I'd gone on a date with. She'd suggested that I wasn't reliable outside of work either. She was trying to build a narrative where I was fundamentally flawed as a person, not just professionally unstable. The anger burned hotter than anything I'd felt before. This wasn't just about the campaign anymore. It was about her need for control, her need to dominate, her need to make sure that everyone saw me the way she wanted them to see me, as a failure, as someone not worth listening to. But I refused to let her control that narrative. I made the conscious decision to stop being reactive. Instead, I quietly aligned myself with colleagues who had silently admired my work over the years. There were more of them than I'd realized. People who'd noticed my contributions even when Maya was taking credit. People who'd seen her manipulations and had grown frustrated with her arrogance. I started having lunch with them. I started asking for their advice. I started showing them the same respect and genuine interest that I've been showing Maya. Slowly, the power dynamic began shifting in the office. People started defending me when Maya made negative comments. They started questioning her claims. I wasn't doing anything dramatic. I was just building genuine relationships based on honesty instead of manipulation. I cornered Maya privately one afternoon in the empty break room. I was calm when I spoke to her. My voice didn't shake. "I know what you did," I said quietly. "I know you stole my campaign. I know you've been spreading lies about me. I know everything." She laughed. That laugh was chilling because it revealed that she felt completely safe. She didn't think I could hurt her. "You're imagining things," she said, waving her hand dismissively. "I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you need to see someone about your paranoia." That laugh, it made my blood boil, but it also confirmed something important. I realized that revenge wouldn't come from public humiliation. It would come from undeniable proof and undeniable professional success. I would let my work speak for itself. Maya tried to frame me for a missed deadline about a week after our private confrontation. She claimed that I'd promised to deliver something that hadn't come through, and she suggested to Mr. Henderson that I wasn't pulling my weight on current projects. But thanks to my meticulous record keeping, I caught it before it escalated. I had emails showing that the deadline didn't apply to me. I had evidence that Maya had made the original commitment and then forgotten about it. I presented this evidence calmly to Mr. Henderson. The twist was that the higher-ups were now questioning her honesty. Every claim she made was now being scrutinized. I was quietly gaining credibility while she was losing it. I presented a new campaign that outshone anything I'd worked on before. I spent weeks on it, pouring all of my intelligence and creativity into it. Clients praised my strategic thinking. They asked for me specifically on future projects. Colleagues nodded approvingly as I walked through the presentation. The office began whispering her name with skepticism now instead of his. People started asking if Maya had actually stolen credit from others. The narrative was shifting, but I knew the final blow hadn't arrived yet. I was still building towards something bigger. Maya tried one last personal attack, spreading rumors to try to damage my romantic life. She claimed I'd been inappropriate with someone at a company party. It was a complete lie, but lies travel fast. I refused to rise to the bait. I didn't engage. I didn't get defensive. Instead, I documented everything. Every lie she told was now a thread I could unravel later. I let her play out her strategy completely, showing everyone how desperate she was becoming. She was running out of legitimate tools to use against me. So, she was resorting to personal attacks. That desperation was visible to anyone paying attention. Maya attempted one more public sabotage during a major presentation with clients. She made a comment designed to undermine my credibility in front of everyone who mattered. But I'd anticipated this move. I'd prepared for it. I countered subtly, making her look incompetent without lifting a finger. I didn't attack her directly. I just highlighted a logical inconsistency in what she'd said. Shocked gasps filled the room. Clients exchanged looks of confusion, and Maya realized in that moment that she'd lost. She couldn't win because I'd studied her patterns so carefully that I could predict her moves. I felt the first taste of true vindication. Tara helped me compile every single piece of evidence of Maya's manipulations. Emails, witness statements, timeline discrepancies, everything. It was all laid bare. She couldn't twist reality anymore. The evidence was too overwhelming. I had built an airtight case, and my patience was about to pay off. We created a comprehensive document that showed not just the campaign theft, but the pattern of her behavior over years. We showed how she'd stolen from others. We showed how she'd manipulated colleagues. We showed her systematic approach to deception. I requested a company-wide meeting. Mr. Henderson agreed, probably wondering what was coming. I presented the evidence calmly, letting the proof speak for itself. I didn't get emotional. I didn't raise my voice. I just walked through the facts methodically. Maya's confident mask cracked immediately. She stammered, trying to deny it, but her lies unraveled in real time. Colleagues who had doubted me began nodding, some whispering apologies. I stood tall, composed, and professional. This wasn't revenge born from anger. This was justice delivered with dignity. The presentation was devastating, not because I was cruel, but because the truth was devastating. The aftermath was almost anticlimactic. I was recognized for my work and integrity. Colleagues who once doubted me now respected my professionalism and perseverance. Clients requested to work with me specifically. Mr. Henderson offered me a promotion. Maya was given a choice: resign quietly or face an investigation into her conduct over several years. She chose to resign. She left the company on a Friday afternoon without saying goodbye to anyone. I finally felt the cathartic release I'd been craving. The betrayal had been deep, but so was my recovery. I had survived, and more importantly, I had maintained my integrity throughout the process. I hadn't become like her. I hadn't manipulated or lied. I just told the truth and let it work. Weeks later, I walked into the office with a completely different feeling. There was confidence in my step now. There was clarity. Maya had resigned quietly, her ambition intact, but her reputation tarnished irreparably. I had reclaimed everything she tried to take: my respect, my credibility, and most importantly, my self-respect. The betrayal had forged me stronger and wiser. I was unshakable now, because I understood that some people would always try to take what wasn't theirs. But I also understood that if you stayed true to yourself and documented the truth would eventually prevail. I smiled to myself as I sat at my desk. Tara nodded at me from across the office. We didn't need to talk about it. We both knew that I had survived and that I had won. Not through vengeance alone, but by rising above. I'd learned that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better than what was taken from you. My name is Logan Parker, and I came out stronger.